think it's a perfect time to introduce Han.
So, interestingly enough, I didn't really have any affinity towards him, and he was just like that cocky, arrogant character, right? You know, he's kind of the edgy character of the movie. And in building all the other archetypes, I realized he's the fool.
Okay, so explain what the Fool is.
So the fool is an interesting one. The way that I see the fool is it has the most potential for growth. The fool is actually, I think, an important function or part of us, because it can either plunge us into darkness or lift us up. It does both. And so when we go through experiences, I think it's what tips the scale. And that became really apparent at the end when he's like, I'm out, goodbye.
Yeah.
Right? You know, he leaves with the Millennium Falcon. And we see him come back and tip the scale. Right? So the story would have been completely different if he decided to say, you know what, this isn't worth my time, I'm leaving. He would have been the destruction of the story. He would have been the destruction of Luke's hero's journey, because he would have died.
Absolutely. I'm trying to think. I had a different archetype for him, and I remember we talked about it, but I don't remember. I didn't write it down in my notes. Like, no.
Yeah. The fool is, I think, the aspect of that's in all of us that can trick us into things.
So I listed him as the scoundrel, which is a type of like fool, right?
Yeah.
And this is where archetypes get really exciting. Is if you've never like explored archetypes, there's no right or wrong.
Nope.
Right, and that's I think the hard thing, because when we first started, like I think me and you were exactly the same. We were introduced to this concept of like looking at like our psyches, our souls, and recognizing there's all these different parts. And the first thing me and you wanted to do was be like, okay, so where's the list? How do I learn them? Right? That we need to learn them. And what happens is the more you start to study these character types and how it actually shows up in our life, because I think you can study this in like almost like an English major type thing. Like, okay, here's this character, here's this.
Yeah.
But that misses the point of them, right? Like it's about looking at these characters and how they show up in our life. And I put scoundrel, right? Because a scoundrel tends to do shady things. Like their moral compass might be a little bit broken. But generally when a scoundrel's in a story, they do the right thing.
Depends.
It depends on the story.
Yeah.
And that's where it might not be like there's another archetype and I'm missing it right now. So I might have to leave it in the notes if I think of it, if I can't think of it before the end of the podcast. I think Han's story just shows like, I think he is also like a reluctant hero, right? And both Luke and Han at a certain point have to make a decision on being an active hero. Yeah. And I think from that point forward, they're active heroes, right? Yeah. Han maybe dabbles a little bit in being a reluctant hero, maybe the second, like Empire Strikes Back. But overall, they're heroes, right? They've chosen the hero journey.